what has made you successful over the last decade and be able to scale, obviously outside of the crazy bull market we've had over the last decade? I want to get your opinion. You've talked about standard operating procedures and culture, and I think that has a lot to do with it, but I want to get your take on that.
I try really hard not to think about the next month or the next year, and I try to think in decades. And I think like if you really want to create wealth, you should be thinking in decades too. And I think that's really key to why I've scaled. For example, when I started investing in 2013 and I bought a single family home, within 1 year, I just understood. I underwrote that deal. I was so pumped. I took my wife along with me. She understood what it should make. It made it. It was predictable. We got really excited. There was a lot of good deals out there in 2014, but we could only afford to buy 2 units, 1 duplex. And that's what we bought.
Yeah.
And then the next year, there's a lot of good deals in 2015, but we only bought 4 units, right? Because that's all we had. And the reason for that is because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I think in today's world, to scale, it's not a money problem. It's a mindset problem. So I think you can really grow in so many different ways. And I'm not putting down any ways, but you asked how I scaled. So I'm just saying I focused the majority of my time on learning this business. I learned through mistakes. I learned through what are the things that I need to do differently when I didn't have a lot of units, so that I understood whether I built a property management company or hired a third-party management company, I would be able to understand simple processes like delinquency or a lease or other income opportunities or how to achieve market rent. I learned that, and I put all my energy, instead of finding the money, I put all my money into finding the opportunity to create value. And by doing that, I think there's very few people that understand how to reposition property, which is really just a business. So let's just call it what it is. If it's, 5 units or more, it's an actual business. I put all my energy and figure out how to make these businesses as profitable as possible. And you only can do that with obviously serving the need to the highest degree. I think the experience that we provide residents is very, very high, which creates a strong reputation, which creates a lot of retention, and also the opportunity to charge a little bit more than maybe the market. And it also yields higher net operating income. So by focusing on value and focusing on cash flow, and then I can't remember who I asked, but I asked somebody really wealthy early in my career what the biggest mistakes they made in real estate. And then I started reading about this, and everybody was saying the same thing. It was selling properties. Everybody's like, my biggest mistake is that property I sold. Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm hearing this a lot. I'm just not going to sell. But then you get to the age-old question, right? I think this was my first apartment building was my significant was a 55-unit apartment building. And thinking back, I still had what I knew then and what I know now. I still had people think they understand how to reposition properties. You don't. There's just so many things that happened with that 55 unit. Anyway, I remember acquiring that property and looking at the business and what I need to do to be able to scale that property, and realizing that this is all my own money. It's cool to say I own all this, but there's other opportunities out there. So I need to figure out, how do I reposition this faster? At that time, people were repositioning properties in 4 and 5 years. And that means that I'd have not only all my own money to acquire that asset, but then I have to use all my own money to spend money repositioning it, like CapEx. This was a $2 million CapEx plan. Now, sometimes you can get that from the lender and they can do a construction loan, but sometimes you can't. And even if you can, it's still a long process to be able to get to that point where you can refi. So I just started putting all my energy into the processes to reposition these assets faster so that I could get my money back out and do it again. And I just think that's was really cool, because I'm like, wow, if I can reposition this asset what happens if I can do it in 12 months? I mean, typically I did a refi today. I just closed on 2 properties on Monday, and Tuesday I was on site with my team. And today I just refied a property, and it was 14 months to the day that I've been repositioned as a 48 unit. I pulled out 1.9 million. And that is huge, because if that took me 48 months instead of 14, that 1.9 million, there's 2 things. One, obviously the power of money today and now, it would, in 4 years, is less valuable. There's more risk because you don't know what's going to happen in 4 years. Cap rates can change. I mean, over the last year, I think that's really relevant. If you can get your money out quicker, then it's less to the market and what could happen and the things that you can't control. And then obviously being able to take that money and then put it back into another asset. And that's what I think it's crazy to me that people would sell for that money when you could potentially refi, take that money out, put it into another project, keep the 48 units that now cash flow, because you can't refi it if it wouldn't have a debt service credit ratio that would support the refi. So you have a cash flowing property, just more debt, which, by the way, if it can support a refi, then the cash flow is so strong that you're probably going to pay taxes on it. But if you do a refi, you can write off the mortgage interest. So you're actually being more tax efficient. And most of my refi in today's world with higher interest rates are, I put seconds. So I keep the first mortgage, which was probably, 14 months ago, better than today. So my blended rate's not even that bad. Like I have 1.9 million at, I think it's 675. And then my, the majority of my loan, which was, I don't know, 3.5, I'd have to look, but that's probably at 4.5. So my blended rate's really not that bad overall. And that has helped me be able to scale. So for me, I focus a ton of my time and energy on how do I make this property more valuable. And I want to do that with speed, and I want to create more cash flow. And I want to obviously do things in a way that would be desirable for the people that want to live there. And I think we do them to a very high degree. Yes, we charge a little bit more for that, but we do things like last month, every service request that came in on 3,300 units was 96% of the time it was done within 48 hours. 73% of the time it was done within 24 hours. Wow. And we're a couple months away from guaranteeing 24 hours. Like that's our goal. If Amazon can deliver a package within the same day, we can fix your garbage disposal within the same day too. Or maybe you don't pay rent until we do. Like we're trying to do things in this industry and put a resident that has to rent minds at ease, that if you're going to pay great rent, you're going to get great experience, you're going to get great service. So we're trying to, not just reposition these with speed, we're trying to put people in and offer a really, really good experience that they never leave to. And that has been a catalyst for growth. But I do want to say this. I had 260-ish units in 2019. When I built the property management company and the construction company, and I started focusing on building systems in-house with my employees, everything else was a lot easier. 3,300 units, that's 3,000 units really in the last 4 years. If you think, wow. if you add up, and I got 128 closing on the 11th of October, and I got another 100 closing on November 7th. I'm still buying and I'm still repositioning. And this company was built for a time like this because we can take an asset and that other people wouldn't be able to find the labor for or the materials for. And we have these rehab teams and crews that have done it year after year after year. And it's just, we can reposition these processes so much faster and the exact same way we've done it before. So now for me, my energy is less on scaling systems. They're all already there. Honestly, everything's already set up. I just need to find the right opportunity, negotiate the right deal. And then we just plug our systems and our people into that, and we do what we've always done.